Hello and welcome. My name is Alan, and today we are back with more notable names in Hispanic American and Latin American history. Today we are looking at Luis Alvarez, who actually is the father of a former individual we looked at, Walter Alvarez. So, yeah. Now, if you remember with Walter Alvarez, he's was one of the primary names for the asteroid theory that killed the dinosaurs. And Luis Alvarez is his father. Uh, Pretty interesting as well. Was a physicist, worked on the Manhattan Project to create the atom bomb. So yeah, a lot of scientific knowledge passing through that family. Anyway, let's get on here with about Luis Alvarez. Born, this is from NobelPrize.org. He was born in San Francisco, California on June 13th, 1911, and received his Bachelor of Science from the University of Chicago in 1932, a Master's of Science in 1934, and a PhD in 1936. He joined the radiation laboratory of the University of California, where he is. I don't know if he's still alive. I wouldn't think, but it's hard to say. Where he said he was a professor, a research fellow in 1936. He was on leave on the Radiation Laboratory of Massachusetts Institute of Technology from 1940 to 1943 at the Metallurgical Laboratory of the University of Chicago in 43 to 44, and at the Los Alamos Laboratory of the Manhattan District from 44 to 45. During his early scientific career, he worked concurrently in the fields of optics and cosmic rays, and is the co-discoverer of the east-west effect in cosmic rays. For several years, he concentrated his work in the field of nuclear physics. And in 1937, he gave the first experimental demonstration of the existence of the phenomenon of K-electron capture by nuclei. Another early development was a method for producing beams of very slow neutrons. This method subsequently led to a fundamental investigation of neutron scattering in ortho and parahydrogen with Pitzer, and to the first measurement with Bloch of the magnetic moment of the neutron. With Wiens, he was responsible for the production of the first Hg lamp. His device was developed by the Bureau of Standards into its present form as the Universal Standard of Length. Just before the war, Alvarez and Koenig discovered the radioactivity of tritium and showed that 3-helium was a stable constituent of ordinary helium. Tritium is the best known source of thermonuclear energy, and 3-helium has become of importance in low temperature research. During the war at MIT, and while he was at MIT, He was responsible for three important radar systems: the microwave early warning system, the Eagle high altitude bombing system, and the blind landing system of civilian as well as military value GCA, or ground controlled approach. While at the Los Alamos laboratory, he developed the detonators for setting off the plutonium bomb. He flew as a scientific observer at both Alamogordo and Hiroshima explosions. He was responsible for the design and construction of the Berkeley 50-foot proton linear accelerator, which was completed in 1947, and in 1951 he published the first suggestion for charge exchange acceleration that quickly led to the development of the tandem Van de Graaff accelerator. Since that time, he is engaged in high energy physics using the 6 billion electron volt Bevatron at the University of California Radiation Laboratory. His main efforts have been concentrated on the development and use of large liquid hydrogen bubble chambers and on the development of high-speed devices to measure and analyze the millions of photographs produced each year by the bubble chamber complex. The net result of his work has been the discovery by Dr. Alvarez's research group of a large number of previously unknown fundamental particle resonances. Since '67, he devoted most of his time to the study of cosmic rays using balloons and superconducting magnets. He was a member of the following societies: the National Academy of Sciences, the American Philosophic Society, the American Physical Society, of which he was president in 1969, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the National Academy of Engineers. In 1946, he was awarded the Collier Trophy by the National Aeronautical Association for the development of a ground-controlled approach. In 1953, he was awarded the John Scott Medland Prize by the city of Philadelphia for the same work. In 1947, he was awarded the Medal for Merit. In 1960, he was named California Scientist of the Year for his research work on high-energy physics. In 1961, he was awarded the Einstein Medal for his contribution to the physical sciences. In 1963, he was awarded the Pioneer Award of the AIEEE. In 1964, he was awarded the National Medal of Science for contributions of high-energy physics. And in 1965, he received the Michelson Award. He has received the following honorary degrees: a science degree, University of Chicago, 1967, Carnegie Mellon, 1968, and Kenyon College, 1969. But yeah, that gives us a look at his work from NobelPrize.org. Let's hop up here to NPS.gov, National Park Service. Manhattan Project scientist Luis Walter Alvarez. Born San Francisco, 1911. Manhattan in 1944, with the encouragement of J. Robert Oppenheimer, Alvarez moved to Los Alamos and began to work on the implosion methods. for the detonators and stuff. So he, in 43, he joined the Manhattan Project, working on equipment designed to detect possible German nuclear reactors and assisting in the operation of the CP-2. It was in New Mexico that he witnessed the Trinity test on July the 16th, 1945, so he was one of the scientists who did get to witness it. Less than 1 month later, he was part of an observation team on the Great Artiste, a B-29 Superfortress alongside the Enola Gay, that dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, on August 6, 1945. So he got to witness 2 of the earliest nuclear explosions. After the war, he received numerous awards for his research, including Nobel Prize in Physics, for his elementary particle physics, work on elementary particle physics in 1968. In 1980, he developed the hypothesis that dinosaurs went extinct 65 million years ago due to an asteroid with his son. I don't know why they don't list his son, say with his son, but yeah. He died in Berkeley, California in 1988. So yeah. Hugely important in American history. Let's look at the Britannica here. It was September 1st, 1988 he died. 68 resonance particles, which are subatomic particles having extremely short lifetimes and only occurring in high energy nuclear collisions, which is what a lot of our nuclear colliders also work with. Poof. So he's much more important than many people would even understand. It's crazy. This 1938, he discovered that some radioactive elements decay by orbital electron capture, orbital electron charges with its nucleus, producing an element with an atomic number smaller by 1. 39, he and Felix Bloch made the first measurement of a magnetic moment of the neutron, a characteristic of the strength and direction of its magnetic field. We talked about them being working on the microwave radar research, and apparently that was for at MIT. 1940 to 43, and he participated in the development of the atomic bomb. Participated in the development of microwave beacons, linear radar antennas, the ground-controlled landing approach system, the method for aerial bombing, using radar to locate targets, and after World War II helped construct the first proton linear accelerator. In this accelerator, electric fields are set up as standing waves in a cylindrical metal resonant cavity with drift tubes suspended along the central axis. The electric field is zero inside the drift tubes, and if their lengths are properly chosen, the protons cross the gap between adjacent drift tubes. When this direction of the field produces acceleration and are shielded by the drift tubes, when the field in the tank would decelerate them. The lengths of the drift tubes are proportional to the speeds of the particles that pass through them. In addition to this work, he developed liquid hydrogen bubble chamber in which subatomic particles and their reactions are detected. I'm not going to try to break down exactly what that is because I don't know. I don't claim to be a subatomic knowledgeable in that field of subatomic particles, but yeah. In 1980, he helped his son, the geologist Walter Alvarez, publicize Walter's discovery of a worldwide layer of clay that was high in iridium content and which occupies rock strata as the geochronological boundary between the Mesozoic and Cenozoic eras, around 65.5 million years ago. In other words, the dinosaur extinction era, the age of the extinction of the dinosaurs. They postulated that the iridium had been deposited following an impact on Earth of an asteroid or comet, and that the catastrophic climate effects of this massive impact triggered a mass extinction event that killing the dinosaurs. Though it was initially controversial, the widely publicized theory gradually gained support as the most plausible explanation of the abrupt demise of the dinosaurs. Now, later we may have something that is much more suitable that fits in, but right now it's the most likely cause. That's why it's the most plausible explanation. But yeah. Now, Luis Walter Alvarez. Look at all that known for. Goodness. The guy clearly knew what he's doing. Had a doctorate from the University of Chicago. Married a Geraldine Smithwick, though they would divorce, but he would later marry a Janet L. Landis. And they, of course, would have Walter Alvarez, who we discussed was the major theorist of the dinosaur extinction by comet, by asteroid. Look at all those awards. Collier Trophy, Medal for Merit, John Scott Medal, Albert Einstein Award, National Medal of Science, Pioneer Award, Michelson Morley Award, Nobel Prize in Physics, and the Enrico Fermi Award. But yeah, he was a doctor in physics. He was involved in a project to x-ray the Egyptian pyramids to search for unknown chambers. That's interesting. He was the second child and oldest son to a Walter C. Alvarez, a physician, and his wife Harriet Nay Smith. And he's a grandson of a Luis F. Alvarez, a Spanish physician, born in Asturias, Spain, who lived in Cuba for a while and finally settled in the U.S. and who found a better method for diagnosing macular leprosy. Or Hansen's disease, apparently, is also what it's called. Okay. He had an older sister, a younger brother, and a younger sister. Even his aunt, Mabel Alvarez, was somewhat famous, specializing in oil paintings. So the Alvarezes, as a family, looks like pretty established. Um, hmm. Constructed an apparatus of Geiger counter tubes arranged as a cosmic ray telescope, and under the aegis of faculty advisor Arthur Compton, conducted an experiment in Mexico City to measure the so called east west effect of cosmic rays. Huh. So it deals with energy travel in space. Observing more incoming radiation from the west, he concluded that the primary cosmic rays were positively charged, and submitting the resulting paper to the physical review with Alvarez's name at the top. So, yeah, interesting. Radiation laboratory. I believe, yeah, at Berkeley. While at that laboratory, he worked with Lawrence's experimental team, which was supported by a group of theoretical physicists headed by Robert Oppenheimer. He devised a set of experiments to observe K electron capture in radioactive nuclei and predicted beta decay theory, but never observed. When deuterium is bombarded with deuterium, the fusion reaction yields either tritium or a proton, plus a proton, or helium 3. So tritium is hydrogen 3. And then it produces tritium plus a proton or helium 3 plus a neutron. And this is one of the most basic fusion reactions and the foundation of the thermonuclear weapon and the current research of controlled nuclear fusion. Interesting. But yeah. Um, he encountered a young Arthur C. Clarke who was a Royal Air Force radar technician, and Clarke subsequently used his experiences at the radar research station as the basis for his novel Glide Path, which contains a thinly disguised version of Alvarez, and they would become longtime friends. So that's pretty cool. Interesting. Alvarez would be involved in the design of the Fat Man bomb. Yeah, we did the two different bombs, the Little Boy and the Fat Man. Little Boy apparently was uranium as its radioactive detonation source, and Fat Man was plutonium as the radioactive detonation source. Huh. And remember, at this point, we knew some stuff about radioactivity, but creating a lot of these nuclear bombs was fairly still new. Let's see. His last task for the Manhattan Project was to develop a set of calibrated microphone transmitters to be parachuted from an aircraft to measure the strength of the blast wave from the atomic explosion, so as to allow the scientists to calculate the bomb's energy. He would receive a commission as a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army and would be allowed to observe the Trinity nuclear test from a B-29 Super Fortress. So he was able to observe it while up in the air. That also carried fellow Project Alberta members Harold Agnew and Deke Parsons. And then we talked about him flying in a second B-29 Super Fortress alongside the Enola Gay, which actually dropped the atomic bomb on Hiroshima. So a lot of physics works, and then also his son pretty much had the discovery of what he believed was an asteroid strike that killed the dinosaurs, and helped him kind of emphasize this theory. But yeah. Don't know what's going on out there. A lot of honking and beeping, but as it gets early morning. But we'll go ahead and end this episode here. as always, educate thyself, think, read, study, learn. Someone tries to tell you something you have trouble believing, ask them to cite their sources. I'll be putting my links and sources in the description box below the video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, later.